This is Ros Jones, your business coach with my weekly podcast show, Bold Business Bits, coming to you from Yorkshire. This is where I have a great conversation with a phenomenal female business boss. We share some of the bold stuff they do, lessons they've learnt, adversities they've overcome, and the fun they have. And then I'll be dipping into my toolkit and sharing a top tip. Business can be lonely, so make sure you join us each week and be part of our show. So hello and welcome to Bold Business Bits podcast show. This is Ros Jones and today I'm joined by the wonderful Ella Mesma. Hi Ella.
Hi Ros. Hi everyone. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, it's a real pleasure. So thank you, Ella. So Ella, obviously I've known you for a while. I know a bit about what you do, but can you just tell us a bit about your businesses?
Sure. So I have two businesses. One is business yoga, which I created. I kind of had the idea about 3 years ago, but I registered the company right before lockdown and then obviously had to do a huge pivot. And so it was inspired by two things, really. I have a background in dance. I'm a professional dancer and I've taught yoga for many years. And this was kind of triggered in a period of my life where I was working for someone in Newcastle and had to be sitting at a desk for the first time in a really long time. And I really struggled. I have scoliosis and I just found it really difficult. And I started to kind of play with ideas of how might I do movement at the desk. And that was where the idea was born. But it was also inspired by my younger sister, who's not so young anymore and works for a finance company in London, and just seeing her stress levels. And we used to live together when I lived in London, seeing like the difference in our lives and how much kind of well-being wasn't really a part of her life. And she just didn't have time for it. And her diet, everything was affected. And I just started thinking about how important well-being is in the workplace and how stress has kind of been proven to be, one of those real top level killers in our world. And just thinking of, well, how can we change this? And actually, I think if we change the culture in the workplace and we really put well-being at the heart of that culture and that understanding, then we can make a massive difference, but also a massive difference in terms of how people show up, the ripples that they create in the world, the decisions that they're making. And so that was the real motivation behind business yoga.
Fantastic. And how has it been? So it's not been the easiest time, I'm guessing, to introduce that business.
In a way, I feel like it's actually been the best time because, number one, I think many of us, I feel like I was actually close to a burnout when we went into lockdown, and there was this just being able to be still and have time to reflect and be in my home was, obviously it was really difficult. And, my heart goes out to everyone because it's been such a difficult time. But at the same time, I think there has been this level of allowing us to all find well-being and really find for us, what does well-being mean? But then also the business, because we had to pivot and go online. I had a job. My first big client was Hitachi in Leeds. I was getting into my car ready to go and they called me and said, Ella, I don't think we can do this. I don't think you can come into the office. And so I had to very quickly go what am I going to do? How am I going to survive? And so took everything online. And actually what I think is it's better because it means that the office don't have to worry about somebody else coming into their building. If you're working from home, all you have to do is turn on Zoom or turn on Microsoft Teams, and there I am giving them a session around well-being, that it's very accessible. And there's something quite nice that people can keep their cameras off, so they don't have to, they don't have to be worrying about what everyone else is thinking and that kind of embarrassment that you might feel doing yoga in the office. So I quite love it, actually, the online version.
Yeah. And in terms of your reach now, then it's not really, it's definitely not restricted to wherever you're living.
Yeah, absolutely. And so my target area originally was Yorkshire, where I was living, but now it's, now it's global, which is great. As long as the time difference works, then it can happen, which is great.
And what sort of response have you had to this new way of working?
Really positive. So I've been very busy, actually. I've just booked, we're doing a really special offer for Mental Health Week, Awareness Week, May the 10th to the 14th. And we'll be doing one again in June for Wellbeing Week. And those are 15 minutes every single day for different companies. And it's just been really great that so many companies are actually, yes, we buy into this and we really want to make wellbeing a part of our lifestyle.
That's fantastic, because that's a far cry, I guess, from where your sister was working in those days.
Yeah.
And so hopefully this is the start of a whole new movement.
I hope so. I believe so as well. I think the lemonade that we've made out of lockdown is realizing how important wellbeing is for the workplace, and many workplaces really stepping up for that and really taking that time to think about their staff.
Yeah, it's so important. Well, it's fabulous. And I've had first-hand experience of it, so I know that it's a fabulous experience. So that's great. So you're a dancer. You mentioned so you started as a dancer. So do you still dance?
I do. So actually, that's a really exciting project that I'm working on at the moment. It's a commission by Rural Arts in Yorkshire, and it's called Keepsake. And I've been working on this. It's crazy. You can't even imagine it. Every single person, all the collaborators, once they get into this world, they're like, oh, you were telling me these words, but I didn't quite imagine. So it's basically an online platform. It's a place called Topia. And in this online platform, you can design your own world. So exciting. So Sammy Lovett, one of our team members, I got her in, which is how the thing on Wednesday will happen as well. So Sammy Lovett is going to be designing me some boxes, and I'm going to post these out to all of the 50 adults who might not get out so much, who might be socially excluded around like rural areas of Yorkshire, are going to be invited to come to this world. They're going to receive something through the post box, and then they'll get this invite and some other little gifts in there as well. And they will come into this world where they're going to arrive on a beach, which has been drawn by an amazing artist called Brian Aldia. And then there will be various kind of illustrations by another artist, Jessica Roses. And basically, as they move through this world, they're going to meet an artist who's a singer. They're going to meet an artist who's a dancer, and they're going to see a show that I have created in lockdown.
Wow.
Yeah, it's so exciting. So exciting. There's going to be a little bar. We're going to have a little party. We're going to have a little fire, around the fire kind of post-show tour. And it's just incredible to be doing a piece of work like that in lockdown.
Yeah, that sounds amazing. So it's like some sort of virtual reality.
Yes, but with what's really lovely about it is it's all with illustrations. So because there's quite a few different kind of worlds like this out there, and I've gone to some, and what I really like about this world is it's beautiful. You know, it's a piece of art in itself.
Yeah. And
so as an artist, I really feel just so satisfied to be, having this adventure in this beautiful, beautiful artistic space.
Yeah, fantastic. And are you actually dancing then, or have you just created?
So I'm using footage from a piece that I was creating just before lockdown. So we had actually a tour booked for, it should have been November last year that we were supposed to go on tour. And obviously I knew it's like, let's just cancel that, scrap that. And actually Arts Council even closed before they kind of opened back up. Arts Council actually closed down. So we couldn't even put the application in if we'd wanted to. It wasn't an option. Yeah. But so that piece, we had some footage from the kind of before the tour, and I was able to use that footage. So it's not me dancing, but it's kind of work that I've choreographed. It's called A Jellyfish Love Song. And it's very much about like the environment and just how beautifully nature looks after, and everything is kind of working in service for everything else. Whereas as humans often, we're busy working on our own success and not really thinking about
doing exactly the opposite. That sounds brilliant. And do you still get a chance to dance then yourself?
So at the moment I'm doing much less dance. I also I forgot to say my other business is called Maya Gandhaya, which is called, it's Illusion to Joy, and it's all around kind of how can we really live our best selves. So in these times I'm doing some training. So I have a silks rig kind of in my house, as you do, so I can still train, and I teach some classes online, but it's it's just not the same as booking out a studio and getting into the theatre. But I'm waiting for a bid to come through. Super excited. So in July and August, I will be actually getting into a theatre again, and hopefully remember how to dance, because there's a part of me that's like, been in my house, I have enjoyed eating food, I have enjoyed, all these things that normally I'm like, oh, I can't because I've got a show next week, but I haven't had to think about that for a year and a half. So it's going to be a journey getting back to full fitness.
Yeah. And the kind of dance you do, is it ballet and that kind of thing?
It's not. So I actually started dance in quite a weird, wiggly way. So I started with Latin dances. I started with salsa. I used to go to salsa clubs underage. And then when I went to uni, I started getting paid to do salsa shows and samba shows. And then I took up break dance.
Oh, wow.
And then I went to dance school. So it's a very wiggly way. So I'm trained in contemporary dance. I went to a place in London called The Place, or the London School of Contemporary Dance. And then I love to kind of really mix it with those styles that were like my babies or my first loves. Often people will kind of describe my work as almost like hip hop theatre or Latin theatre or Afro-Latin theatre. So it's quite hard to describe what it is, but it's a real kind of beautiful mix of everything. And so I was in a dance company a long time ago called Russell Malafont Dance Company or Russell Malafont Company. And his wife actually always used to say to me that when she said the word dance, I would completely transform from like, you know, the contemporary linear kind of idea of what dance was to like suddenly my spine moving and just really kind of feeling it in all of my body.
Yeah. And is there a connection then? Do you mind me asking? Is there a connection with the spine problem you said and dance?
Oh, probably actually. So there's a lot of figures around scoliosis in dance. And, you know, I find it really hard to sit still. And that's massively connected. Yeah. And I'm fascinated by the spine. So a lot of the movement that I do, I really love, you know, even with business yoga. So, you know, I always say we've got one spine and sitting down for 8 hours a day is really not good for that one spine, and that we really need to learn to even warm it up, you know, that before you sit down to work, actually what we should do is do a warm up for our spine and then be moving it every hour. So I'm really passionate about like getting the spine movement, and you'll often see me, because I have a stand up desk, I'll like be doing these kind of body waves and body rolls as I'm working to keep it mobile.
Wow, that's so interesting. I know that I think you're designing a retreat as well. Tell us about that.
So I've done it for 1 year. So I was just reflecting on this actually, because I was using one of those, you know, those jade face rollers. Have you seen them? They're supposed to help us age backwards. They're so great. You should definitely, I want to recommend them to the world. It's really cool.
The jade face roller?
I think it's called a face roller, yeah, and it's made of jade. But I bought one in Thailand and it broke yesterday. So I was like, oh, I've only had it for a little while. And then I thought, and I was like, no, because of lockdown, time warps. I was like, no, actually, you've had it for 2 years. Yeah. So we did our first retreat 2 years ago for Christmas. So we flew out on the 29th of December. I actually went a bit earlier. And then kind of went through to January the 5th. So we did 7 days of a journey through the chakras. And within that time, we also had a New Year's celebration, which was beautiful to experience in Thailand.
Wow, that sounds...
Yeah, it was lovely. And then my yoga, I'm really passionate about Kundalini, as you know, and also Ashtanga. So we do Ashtanga in the mornings, Kundalini or other options, other things by night, and then lots of adventures in beautiful Chiang Mai as well. Yeah.
So that's going ahead this year?
Fingers crossed. I just spoke with them actually. So it's actually a French couple who have this beautiful place in Chiang Mai. I just spoke with them and we kind of agreed that we will take the bookings, but I will hold, you know, each payment, I'm going to hold it and not send it to Thailand until right at the last minute, because we just want to, you know, we want to know that we can refund people. If there's any changes, we want to know that we have to be understanding of these different times and it might not be able to go ahead.
Yeah. That would be an amazing experience.
Oh, it'd be so wonderful to be back there. It's just such an incredible place. The food for me, it's like my favorite thing to eat in all the world is Thai food. So, yeah. In
many ways, it sounds like the whole lockdown situation, Ella, has given you opportunities for time for reflection, but developing your business offering and making it more widely accessible. But what have you missed most? What's been the most difficult part of this time for you?
Sure. Definitely humans. I mean, you know, I still see humans, but I did spend one part of lockdown fully isolated. Like, it's really interesting. My yoga teacher, she says often that the word ashram means home. And just this really interesting time of like being in your home and making your home a sacred space. That period of time, it was great. There was so much reflection. There was actually a lot of healing for me and speaking out about traumas that had happened to me in the past and just a lot of kind of change and growth. But when I first saw humans again, it was just so weird. Like I was like, I don't know if I can even remember how to interact with groups and, you know, so humans. I mean, now I'm living with someone and that's wonderful, but I just miss my friends, especially because my friends tend to be quite spread out all over the place. So I'm very used to traveling. I'm quite, I get on planes, I get on trains, and it's also been lush. Now I'm like, how did I do it? I had so much energy for all this stuff that was getting in the way. But I just really miss my people and dance.
Yeah,
absolutely. Yeah, it's that kind of reimagining of what my life looks like. And I love what I'm doing now. I do feel like it's sped up so many of the things that I had in my mind of like, I want to do this one day, and now I'm doing them all. And it's just like, wow, it's incredible. But I miss dancing.
Yeah.
I miss my body as well. The body that I had when I was, working 9 to 5 dancing versus, and I'm still, I'm doing yoga. It's great, but it's just a different, like, I call it like superhero power. Like even my speeds, like I'm really good at, say someone knocks something, I'll be the one that kind of catches it. And I'm like, wow, spidey senses. But I feel like my spidey senses have been out of practice.
So I think you've written a book, haven't you? Was that during lockdown that you wrote your book?
It wasn't actually. So I kind of finished it in lockdown last year. So I got it finally to the publishers in November last year, and by December it was out. But I'd been writing it probably for about 2 years. So I've got maybe it's a bit weird, but I have a little system, which is Friday mornings. I start at 7:30, and I've actually opened it out now into a little group. So anyone can come. It's free to join. And it's called the Goddess Writing Circle. And what I do is I basically write on a Friday morning, get up, first thing I do, get my computer out, get writing. And that's how I wrote the book. So it took me 2 years of doing that process. But there it was at the end of 2 years. I was like, here's my book. And then obviously then we went into lockdown, and I was like, well, this is the time to edit it and get it ready and get it out there. And I had some lovely friends who also had like a test group that read it before it went into the public. But yeah, it's been a really nice process. And now actually I've made a Facebook group for Journal to Joy readers, and that's been really lovely. It's got like 196 people in it. I looked.
Wow.
And I was like, wow, it's quite a big Facebook group, really.
Yeah, so the book's called Journal to Joy?
It is, yeah.
We can get it from all main bookshops that are open?
Definitely Amazon, Barnes & Noble, and Balboa Press. It's published with Balboa Press.
Fantastic. And so what's next?
So I'm writing a book. I'm writing a new book. It's called 23 Ways to Be More Tree. I'm loving it. I've been doing it this morning as it's Friday. Yeah, that's all kind of like exploring ways to look after your body and really look to nature and the wonderful things that nature offers us to look after ourselves. Yeah. I'm loving my coaching journey. I have this program called the Goddess Path, which is just for 11 women to kind of come on this alchemical journey of the things that I so love. I'm going to be making this new project when I get my funding, which is a solo, actually exploring. It's kind of like almost like a self-portrait, I guess. I'm quite into the Enneagrams. I'm sure you're familiar with the Enneagram. And I'm a number 4, which is the not belonging belief. So super strongly, or was in the past. But what I realized was actually it was a story I was making up. And so it's really kind of about that belief of imposter syndrome and that belief of never fitting in or believing I didn't belong. I've been playing with comedy, actually. I did a little comedy show a few months back in lockdown, and so I'm going to, for the first time, be using voice on stage as well as movement, and it's an aerial silks piece, hence I need to get really strong by July. Yeah,
that sounds wonderful.
Yeah, just looking at the date and I'm like, wow, I just need to get a move on with getting really strong.
The thing is, the time goes quite fast.
It does, doesn't it? Yeah.
So that sounds amazing. Well, I wish you all the best for all of those wonderful projects.
Thanks so much.
How do people find out more about you, Ella?
Sure. So I love Instagram. It's definitely my favourite place where I'm the fastest to respond. Just Ella Mesma, or under Maya Gandaya, which is my kind of coaching name, MAYAGANDAIA. But I have websites of both places, and then business yoga. You can put business yoga in any of those places and you'll find it. I also love LinkedIn, and it's just always a joy to connect. So please do reach out and send me a message. I would love to hear from you.
That's fantastic. Thank you so much. It's been a complete joy to speak with you this afternoon. Thank you.
It really was for me too. Thank you, Waz.
I loved my conversation with Ella. She's a gorgeous person to speak with and hang out with, and is involved in so many inspirational and creative projects. Plus, she's all about the well-being of ourselves, our businesses and our planet. How fabulous is that? And the best thing is that she's going to be finishing up our Think Big, Believe Big Summit on the 27th of May with a chair yoga session. I can hardly wait. The summit will be the first I've ever hosted and is full of fabulous and inspirational speakers and panellists talking on topics relating to the overall theme of Think Big, Believe Big. As humans, we like to stay in our little comfort zones, doing the same thing day after day after day. But the truth is that we are capable of so much more. We have all this pure potential, this capacity to be more, to do more, have more, and to give more to the world. And yet we choose to stay small, either through fear of failure, of being judged, of making mistakes, of being laughed at, or even fear of success. Maybe we were told not to be too big for our boots by our early carers. So on the 27th of May, we have a great lineup of speakers talking about how we can think bigger and believe bigger to dispel the stories we've been programmed with by our early carers, by society, by social media. They'll be talking about thinking big, believing big in 3 areas: business, personal lives, and giving back. All the profits go to charity. They'll be going to Macmillan Charity, which is a charity personal to my heart and also to those of so many more. My eldest sister and my mother both died of cancer. My mother actually 2 years ago this month. So the Macmillan support was very important to us, and I know it has been to so many more people. So we'll be giving back to Macmillan. We start at 9:45 and we finish at 4:45 with a well-earned chair yoga session from Ella. In between, you'll get to listen and be inspired by 11 fabulous speakers. So go to thinkandbelievebig.eventbrite.co.uk to see our lineup, our agenda, and to book your tickets. This has been Ros Jones. I hope you've enjoyed our show today, and I look forward to seeing you at the summit and being here for you on our next podcast show. Bye for now. This has been your Ros Jones Bold Business Bits podcast show. If you'd like any further information about anything we've discussed today, please just get in touch. Go to businesscoachingyorkshire.co.uk. Please join me again next week when I'll be speaking with another phenomenal female business boss with bold business bits. And remember to subscribe to my show. Thanks for listening.